After passing through the Senate back in November and passing through the House last week, President Biden today will be signing, or already has signed, the Marriage Equality Act into law, depending on when you are watching this video. Despite the success of this bill passing, there is at least one member of Congress who is not happy about this bill. One of them going as far as to breaking down into tears on the House floor over it. We'll get into that video in just a few minutes here. This bill, though, I talked about it a couple weeks ago when it did pass through the Senate. At the time, I talked about how GOP reps such as Ted Cruz were opposing this bill and some of the rationale for why they were, and why that rationale was purely false, and they're using it as cover to essentially protect themselves from saying that they just don't want gay people to get married, which seems like is the actual case here. I'll go through a couple of those things, but you can watch that full video for the full context of them. A lot of the excuses for the no votes on the GOP side, both in the Senate and in the House, are number one, that it is going to strip away some sort of religious freedom. That is false. This bill actually puts in provisions to protect religious freedoms. It goes so far as to protect any sort of tax-exempt statuses, even if churches and other religious organizations want to not perform same-sex marriages and not work with same-sex couples, that sort of thing. So many protections are involved, in fact, that the Church of Latter-day Saints actually endorsed this bill because of the religious protections. You've got senators like Mitt Romney coming on and actually signing yes onto this bill. So that specific reason that they're saying they're a no vote is not a fair reason to vote against this. The other one, and I believe I've got a tweet here from this, is an argument that Ted Cruz made, and I talked about his video back I talked about him staking his claim on his podcast about why he wasn't doing it. But Marco Rubio was another person who was against this bill. We can pull up a tweet here from Manu Raju. As he was walking on an elevator yesterday, GOP Senator Marco Rubio told me that a vote on a bill to codify gay marriage was, quote, a stupid waste of time. But when he said that, there was another senator on the elevator who heard him, Tammy Baldwin, who is gay. Now, he's saying it's a stupid waste of time because, and this is his thinking, not mine, because this is already codified into law because of the Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court has never changed their mind on anything or said one thing one day and another the next, right? Never before has that ever happened, except for maybe on something that happened like literally earlier this year, abortion. The vast majority of conservative justices on the court have come out during their hearings or behind closed doors in rooms with senators, even GOP senators, saying that they are not going to be looking to overturn Roe versus Wade, assured them over and over again during these hearings. And then we all know what happened last summer. They went ahead and they overturned this. Now, there are Supreme Court cases that are going to be looking at gay marriage coming up in this next court cycle here in the next year. So this is a good precaution, in my opinion, to do something about it, but to say that it's a waste of time because the Supreme Court already protects this is just false. There's no way around it. Again, I get into a lot of those details in another video, but next let's get into this GOP representative who, while stating her purposes for the no vote, actually broke down in tears on the House floor. We can go ahead and pull up that tweet.
Mr. Speaker, I'll tell you my priority. Protect religious liberty, protect people of faith, and protect Americans who believe in the true meaning of marriage. I hope and pray that my colleagues will find the courage to join me in opposing this misguided and this dangerous bill. I yield back.
Gentlewoman's time has expired.
Man, it even puts a tear in my eyes. Ugh. If she was upset then, I can't wait to see how upset she is now. Number one, that this bill is being signed into law. But number two, that her nephew, in a very courageous act over last week, this went viral on TikTok, her nephew is in fact gay and recorded a very, very viral TikTok that went out of him criticizing his own aunt. And after this video went viral, I guess the Biden team actually saw this and invited the nephew to the White House for the signing of the bill that is happening today. I actually reached out to the nephew. His name is Andrew. I reached out to Andrew via Instagram to do an interview. We're still working on coordinating something. Initially, I was going to try to go for it today, but it seems like he is likely going to be on his way to the White House. But we'll see if we can get an interview with him later in the week. But let's go ahead and play that TikTok now.
Today, a United States Congresswoman, my Aunt Vicky, started crying because gay people like me can get married.
I hope and pray that my colleagues will find the courage to join me in opposing this misguided and this dangerous bill. I yield back.
So, despite coming out to my aunt this past February, I guess she's still just as much as a homophobe.
Let's be clear. Obergefell is not in danger, but people and institutions of faith are.
Aunt Vicky, that's not right. Institutions of faith like religious universities are not being silenced. They're being empowered by the US government to discriminate against tens of thousands of LGBTQ students because of religious exemptions, but they still receive federal funding.
The bill's implications: submit to our ideology or be silenced.
It's more like you want the power to force your religious beliefs onto everyone else. And because you don't have that power, you feel like you're being silenced. But you're not. You're just gonna have to learn to coexist with all of us. And I'm sure it's not that hard.
Again, pretty courageous to be doing that, especially standing up to your aunt who is a member of the United States Congress. We can also just go ahead and pull up the tweet here of the invitation to the White House. The President and Dr. Biden request the pleasure of your company at the signing of the Respect for Marriage Act to be held at the White House on Tuesday, December 13th, 2022 at 3:30 o'clock. Again, I'll work on trying to get an interview with Andrew later in the week or maybe sometime over the holidays. I'm sure he's got some interesting stories to tell with that dynamic going on in the family. But this passage of this law is actually really important. So it doesn't go as far as to force every state to go ahead and require them to be able to perform same-sex marriages. But what it does is it forces all of the states to recognize same-sex marriages that are happening in other places. It does the same for interracial marriages as well. That's getting less of a headline because you would think in 2022 that either of these things are ridiculous to be still talking about. But so it protects same-sex marriages, protects interracial marriages as well. And with the Supreme Court the way that it is right now, I know a lot of folks were concerned about this sort of thing, especially in the gay community. I live in Austin, Texas. I'm a gay man myself. I know folks who are in same-sex couples who are worried about what their, if Obergefell were to be overturned, are they going to be able to do their taxes together? What about if one of them ends up in a hospital? Are they able to make decisions for each other? There's all sorts of things that would come, and those are more just like day-to-day ones beyond any sorts of hate and that sort of thing going on as well. So amidst all of the chaos that's going on in the world right now, we've got protests at drag shows going on across the country. We had the horrific shooting at Club Q in Colorado Springs going on. Just a anti-trans kind of movement coming from the right, from lots of voices on the right now. This is just at least one win that folks in the LGBTQ community can put forward, and one thing that we're going to be able to protect the Supreme Court from taking away from LGBTQ people and folks in interracial marriages as a whole. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned for today's live stream. We do a live stream every single day. You can make sure you're subscribed down below and press the bell for notifications to make sure that you are notified when that happens. You can also give me a follow on Twitter at LewisD217. And thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day.